Rosenstein skating on thin ice after Jordan issues brutal threat that will stop him in his figure eight, by US4Trump.com. Representative Jim Jordan appeared with Neil Cavuto Saturday on Fox News, where he gave his input on the release of the IG report and also slammed Rod Rosenstein. Twice this week, Jordan has called out Rosenstein for his shady ways. During the segment on Saturday, Representative Jim Jordan explained that Inspector General Michael Horowitz, FBI Director Christopher Wray, and Attorney General Deputy Rod Rosenstein will be talking with members of Congress about the IG report. Jordan asked, why is Peter Strzok still employed at the FBI after what we've learned from the IG report? He added that all the other major players are gone, while listing off the swamp alligators, including Comey. He noted that will be an important question for FBI Director Christopher Wray and Rod Rosenstein to answer. Cavuto asked Jordan what he wants to hear from Peter Strzok when he has to testify, and Jordan responded that Strzok is the key player at the central figure throughout the entire narrative. Strzok ran the Clinton investigation, was the lead investigator on the Russia investigator, and is the central character. Jordan pointed out that the sequence of the text messages uncovered are important while naming off a few. Also, he touched on the text from Peter that says, "We will stop Trump from being president." He explained that he wants to ask about all of the messages and get answers from Strzok when it comes in for his deposition, In addition, Jordan slammed Rosenstein for the simple fact that he's withholding information from Congress being able to do their jobs, and Rosenstein threatening staff members on the intelligence community. Jordan added that Rosenstein is skating on thin ice and a vote is coming in Congress for withholding information. In addition, he added that there is also contempt and impeachment towards Rosenstein if he keeps it up. He concluded saying that the IG report shows the bias at the top of the FBI, pointing in Strzok's direction. And Jim Jordan, we will stop Trump. Why didn't Rosenstein show us that one earlier?
Congressman, always good to see you. A number of your colleagues are chomping at the bit to see Mr. Horowitz next week, Christopher Wray, the FBI director, when he comes to talk to folks.
And Mr. Rosenstein, he's going to be in front of us in the next
few weeks. This is like an Avengers movie. It gets better and better. So, what do you want to hear first of all out of the Inspector General? A lot of you, is a straight shooter, came down the middle on all of this. Your thoughts?
I think there's some key questions. Like, number one, why is Peter Strzok still employed at the FBI? I mean, all the other major players are gone. Comey's been fired. Deputy Director McCabe fired. Faces a criminal referral. Lied 3 times under oath. Jim Baker, former general counsel, is gone. Was demoted before he left the FBI. Lisa Page was demoted. She's left the FBI. Jim Rubicki, Comey's chief of staff, has also left the FBI. Why is Peter Strzok still there in light of what we learned from the IG's report? I think that's an important question for Mr. Wray and Mr. Rosenstein when they come in front of Congress.
But if you got your hands on Strzok himself, and many of your colleagues want to subpoena him to testify, what would you want to hear of him? Of course, he has very disparaging views of then candidate Trump. We know that he was providing a lot of the research and early, footwork for Bob Mueller since fired.
No, you're right.
But what do you want to hear from him?
He's the key player. He's the central figure throughout this entire narrative. Ran the Clinton investigation, was the lead investigator on the Russia investigation. He's the central character, and I think those sequence of text messages are important. Remember, Peter Strzok opens the Russian investigation on July 31st. 8 days later, we have the text message that we saw in the report. We will stop Trump from being president. 1 week after that, we have the text message, August 15th, which says we need the insurance policy to make sure Trump isn't president. I want to walk through that sequence all the way up through September 2nd, where we have another text message from Mr. Strzok, where he says POTUS, President Obama, POTUS wants to know everything we're doing. The operative word there is everything. So I would want to walk through that sequence. You open it on the 31st, and what happens in the next 4.5 weeks in those text messages, I think tells a lot. We need to unpack that and get answers from Mr. Strzok when he comes in for his deposition.
Still, there are a lot of Democrats who are seizing on this, sort of saying that there's confusion and that Republicans are divided. You guys seem to be suing each other for documents, whether it's Rod Rosenstein, and now he will go the other way at you to simply push for the same thing. On that, Republicans are eating themselves alive on this. What do you make of that?
Well, let's be clear. Rod Rosenstein isn't giving us the material we're entitled to have as a separate and equal branch of government to do our constitutional duty of oversight. And in addition to not giving us the material...
He's saying he has to do his constitutional duty, and that what you're doing gets in the way of that.
Rod Rosenstein's name was never on a ballot. He wasn't elected to anything, but the House of Representatives and the people in the United States Senate were, and we are a separate branch of government entitled to that information. So instead of fighting this all the time and instead of threatening staff members on the Intelligence Committee, why don't you just give us the stuff we're entitled to see so we can figure out and get answers for the American people?
Do you think the president should fire him?
I think Rod Rosenstein is frankly skating on thin ice, and if he doesn't start giving us the information, I think you're going to see more things happen in the House. We filed a resolution last week, Mr. Meadows and I did, that says, sent to the Congress, if you don't give us this information, there's going to be a vote in the United States Congress. I think that will happen sometime soon. I'm hopeful it will. And then there's also contempt, there's also impeachment. But he needs to give us that information and quit threatening. I mean, think about that. The head of the Department of Justice threatening staff members in a separate branch of government, trying to do their jobs, trying to get answers for the American people. And why is it, Neil, why is it the most explosive 50-some thousand text messages between Strzok and Page, and the one we've not seen, the one we didn't see until this report was the most explosive one? We will stop Trump. Why didn't Rod Rosenstein show us that one earlier when we saw the insurance policy text, we've seen the text with all the bias and animus towards President Trump? Why wasn't we just see this one on 2 days ago when the report comes out? So those are some of the other questions we have for Mr. Rosenstein and Mr. Wray.
Real quickly, the president says this whole thing with the IG report vindicates him. Do you agree?
I think it shows how the bias that existed at the top people. Again, not the rank and file agents who do good work, but the top people. He says it
vindicates him, it exonerates him. Do you agree with that?
I think it shows that we know there's been no evidence of any coordination between the Trump campaign and Russia. A year of Mr. Mueller's investigation, no evidence. So this report, I think, buttresses that what we already know and shows the bias that existed. Even the Inspector General says we do have no confidence that Strzok's decision was free from bias. They even say that in their report.
Congressman, thank you very, very much. The Democrats
Well, as you can see, yeah, from the top, they just wanted Trump out, and there is bias, political bias in it, absolutely. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and again, thank you so much for watching.